We're live right now.
Never mind.
You sure?
Yeah, it's just about your appointment.
Oh, you can do that during, and whenever, new business, whatever.
New business. Hello, and good evening, everyone. Adequate notice of this meeting of the Lawrence Township Council being held on Tuesday, February 4th, 2025 has been provided through the posting of the annual meeting schedule of said council in accordance with the section 13 of the Open Public Meetings Act. Said notice was forwarded to the Charltonian, the Times, and the Princeton Packet on December 19th, 2024. I'd just like to take a moment. It is Black History Month, and I just want to acknowledge just a couple of my favorite quotes, if you indulge me. Never be limited by other people's limited imaginations. That was said by Dr. Mae Jemison, the first African-American female astronaut. I also just wanted to state, here in New Jersey, we are very fortunate to have in our educational system the Amistad mandate that requires the teaching of African-American history in K through 12 grades. And I learned something new that I never knew. There was a gentleman born in Perth Amboy by the name of Thomas Mundy Peterson. He was born on October 6, 1824 in New Jersey and was the first African American to vote in an election under the just enacted provisions of the 15th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution. His vote was cast on March 31st in 1870. I thought that was pretty special. And now, Madam Clerk, if we could have the Pledge of Allegiance. Inspiration.
May we carry out our work at this meeting in a just, honorable, and sincere manner, always bearing in mind our duties and continuing to keep Lawrence a wonderful community in which to live. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Clerk, if you could call the roll, please.
Mr. Bobbitt,
Here.
Mr. Kanaki,
Here.
Ms. Perry. Here. Mr. Ryan cannot be with us this evening. Mayor Farmer.
Here. At this time, we will have our special presentation, Manager's 2025 Recommended Budget and Presentation, beginning with Mr. Peter Kurakakis. Our CMFO.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. It's an honor to be here to speak in front of you tonight. So tonight is the 2025 Manager's Recommended Budget. And we'll just start with a calendar of where we're at. So we've closed the fiscal year. We're a calendar year township, as opposed to something like the school that's a split year. We have already filed our annual debt statement. And right now we're in the beginning process of our budget. We have our annual financial statement that's due to the Division of the Local Government Services, which is followed by the budget adoption. And then we have two of our notes coming due. They're coming due simultaneously, so we can roll them all into one note. The note threshold is $10 million, so if you could roll them together, it's beneficial. And then we have the annual audited financial statement coming up on June 30th. So just a few budget points. We operate on what's called a modified accrual basis. There's many different types of accounting. There's accrual accounting, there's cash accounting, there's cost accounting. New Jersey works on a modified accrual. So cash accounting is you record your receipts when they're received, and you record your expenses when they're paid, as opposed to an accrual accounting system where your revenue and your expenses are recorded when they're incurred. So what New Jersey does is they take the cash portion for revenue, we record them when we receive them, and we use the accrual portion for the expenses. We do purchase orders to incur the expense before it's paid. So it's called the other comprehensive basis of accounting. It's how we operate. The annual financial statement needs to be filed with the division prior to the budget, to the introduction of the budget, because they need to verify the revenues and our surplus balance. We operate on a temporary budget until the adopted budget is moved upon by council. So a snapshot of the 2025 budget. A municipal budget is really broken into two larger pieces. You have the revenue side, which has to match the appropriation side. Within those categories, or within those two halves, you have categories. On the revenue side, you have revenues that you cannot exceed what you brought in the prior year. That's the cash basis part of the accounting. There's a calculation, it's called the levy cap calculation, and our tax line is beholden to that calculation. So there's calculations that the state looks at to make sure that you're following it. On the appropriation side, we have really two pieces. We have appropriations that we call inside caps. Those appropriations are restricted to what the state calls the appropriation cap calculation. And then you have outside of caps, which are not restricted. Outside of caps, there's not many items, but it's debt service, capital items. ELSA sits outside of caps. So there's not many items. Most items are inside caps because the state wants to control the growth of a budget, how fast the budget's growing, and not to exceed it. So what the state does allow is they allow us to bank the unused portion of the caps for use in subsequent years' budgets. The oldest balance expires, and then you bring a new balance on if you're not using it. So you have a levy cap bank, and that is a line that is restricted just for the amount to be raised by taxation. And on the appropriation side, the balance is for just the appropriations that sit within caps. So Lawrence Township has very robust caps that if need be, the township could tap into those banks. Major anticipated revenue sources. These are sources of revenue that help balance the appropriation side of the ledger. We have surplus. We have ELSA, but ELSA is offset with an appropriation. We have state aid that has remained flat. We have interest on investments, UCC fees, those are our Uniform Construction Code fees. Delinquent taxes, ambulance service fees, our 2% local tax on the cannabis shop that we have, and our pilots. Those are major sources of revenue. On the appropriation side, salary and wages is our largest item of appropriation. And this year we have a number of new positions being proposed. We have a deputy, a member for the clerk's office. We have officers, 11 dispatchers to take over our dispatch service, and firefighters. We also have ELSA. This is the other side of the revenue. Capital improvement. We have employee group health insurance. reserve for uncollected taxes, which is it's a non-spending appropriation. It's an appropriation that closes the gap between what we collect and what we have to pay the school and the county. They get 100% of their budget. So the municipal budget has to make up that difference for the balance. And that's what that line item is. We call it reserve for uncollected taxes. Garbage and trash, that includes the landfill, and recycling. The police pension, the PFRS is police and fire pension, PERS is public employees. We have debt service, utilities, social security, and our general liability. Those are the major appropriations. $2025 budget year, the manager is recommending that we have a 0.652 cent tax. That is a 0 increase from the prior year. There's no change to ELSA at this time. And right now, the school and the county have not struck their tax rate. So when they're struck, those bills go out in the summer that include those amounts. Quick snapshot of our debt service. Like I said, we have 2 bands. They're right now currently owned by an investment bank called Piper Sandler. They are due to mature on June 5th and will be rolled over. Our current projected payoff will be 2027 budget. Capital items. These are items that are requested by the departments that they feel that they need, and they're going to be speaking to council about them. So we have our normal police and non-police computer maintenance, software, server upgrades, batteries, of $50,000. We have a clerk record retention at Oprah that we're trying to get our documents digitized. Public safety equipment. This is the 3rd year of a 5-year program for body and vehicle cameras. Police barricade cones. Some municipal building improvements, a normal HVAC replacement program every so many years. The Public Works Director needs to replace certain items of our HVAC system. A police department fuel tank to replace the one that used to be at Town Hall. Behind the senior center is a retaining wall that needs to be redone. Some more charging stations, 2 at Town Hall, 1 at the senior center. And a line item for community center improvements on 295 Edgar Crossing Road. Continuing with our capital budget, we have fire and rescue equipment. There are EMS bulletproof vests. There's fire personal protective equipment. Fire SCBAs, those are the breathing apparatus that the firemen wear, self-contained breathing apparatus. There's a power load stretcher and fire turnout gear. Some communication equipment, radios and pagers for the fire department, fire services. Some various equipment for Public Works. There's a dump truck that Public Works always tries to do double duty, so it's not only a dump truck, but it will be available to do snow plowing during the winter. Vehicle maintenance, a 4-post vehicle lift to get the vehicle lift out from under the slab where it fills with water. Vehicle maintenance, tire changer. Two 0-turn fork mowers, 6-yard compactor truck, And this is, the fire apparatus is part of our building up to purchase a very expensive piece of equipment, or two pieces of equipment, a ladder truck and a tanker, a pumper. And our road improvement work continues every year. The engineer has a list of roads based on their condition. That includes signal improvements, concrete, curbing, overlay, everything in the road program. So the current breakdown of the 2024 tax rate, because we don't have a 2025 tax rate, it looks like this. You have the school, we have the county tax portion, that includes the library. We have our local municipal piece, and we have our local open space piece. The county portion also contains their open space piece. That concludes the brief presentation. Any questions from?
Councilman Davis?
Madam Mayor, may I just say?
Yes.
Just so you're all aware, Pete put together the budget books for you that you have received, prepared the documentation and information that you requested last year. We've provided the same ones this year. So this is all things that you need to go through, and then Peter and I are available to any council member that wants to sit down and go through the budget and answer your questions.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I would definitely will reach out to
Please.
get some additional information once we have had a moment to digest all of the numbers.
Thank you, Pete.
Presentation, thank you.
Thank you.
And next, we'll continue now with presentation, 2025 Department, Keith Levine, Health Officer.
Hello, Mayor and Council.
Hello.
I believe that you were emailed my report. I did bring some extra copies because it was updated since the one that was sent to you.
Keith, I updated them. I gave them the updated one.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful, perfect. So my presentation, the packet does include our activities for the year, so I hope that you'll take some time tonight and go through that. We're very proud of our accomplishments, but I'll keep this brief into the budget. So if you will turn to page 15, if you'd like to follow along, the total annual health department budget was $39,550. And this was the same amount that we had for the previous year. So we did not increase this budget. And we were able to complete all activities for the year, coming in lower than our budget, which is, we're very proud of that. So we ended up spending for the year 2024, $34,375.88. Some of the expenses included are the typical things you would expect for a health department: medical services, including vaccinations and medicine, contractual services, including a doctor, veterinarian, clinics, and nurse case management for childhood lead poisoning cases. Your standard equipment that the inspectors would use, office equipment, services, and office supplies. Also memberships and training. So the second budget that we hold in the health department is the animal control budget, which is a total of $15,750. We were also able to come in lower for the year 2024 just by a bit. We expended $15,477.90. So these expenses include Save Animal Shelter, who we contract with for animal sheltering services. Fantastic shelter, they do an excellent job. Emergency animal care services. We partner with several different vets so that one will always be available should there be an emergency. Deer pickup services for dead deer, which is very important. I mean, we collect quite a few deer every year, hit by cars. Equipment for the animal control officers. Supplies like food, litter, disinfectant. Training, and a modest uniform allowance for the animal control officers. Now, our department runs mostly on grants. So we secured for the year 2024 the Sustaining Local Public Health Infrastructure Grant, which is a fantastic grant delivered to us from the New Jersey Department of Health, and they receive it from the United States Department of Health. This grant totals $168,049, and it's good through March of 2026. So this affords us a full-time local health outreach coordinator to partner with businesses and nonprofits and universities and attend community outreach events, of which we do quite a few for the year. I think we attended about 30. We also hold blood pressure screenings and this sort of thing. So there's a lot of activities that go into this position, and we're definitely grateful to have that source of funding. The second grant we hold is the Municipal Alliance Grant, which is delivered to us from the New Jersey Governor's Council on Substance Use Disorder. That is the state of New Jersey. A total of $13,012 annually. And this amount actually will be going up for the year 2025 pretty significantly. So we're happy to be able to work with our health partners and try to find some good uses for the extra income for 25. A third grant that we hold is a Radon Awareness Program grant from the New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection. So as you know, radon is a leading cause of lung cancer, and it's one of those things where people wouldn't know it if you had it in your house unless you test for it. So it's extremely important to test for radon. Anyone who has a basement, stop into the health department if you're a Lawrence resident, and we can provide these kits for free. Highly recommend that you test your basement if you have one and if you haven't tested. Radon, Lawrence sits in a high radon area, so it's one of those things that we want to promote. And again, the tests are free through this grant. I would like to just make mention that this past year, in September 8th, 2024, we lost a longtime Health Advisory Board member, Mary C. Baird. You may know her from council meetings. She was a very vocal member of our community, a champion for public health, a longtime server on the Health Advisory Board, a nurse, and a Department of Health retiree from the state. So we lost her this past year, and it was a loss. She was a wonderful person. I'd also like to just mention a few of our partners. John Moses at Rider University, who works for the Bronx and underwrites, we underwrite a podcast that he produces, Mental Fitness, which discusses mental health issues of all different kinds. And they do a fantastic job with this podcast, so we want to say thanks to him. James Denron at the Mercer County Lawrence Library, who we partner with as often as possible. Fantastic person, a fantastic team he has over there, and just a great partner. Also, a new partner we picked up this previous year was Princeton Pharmacy, which is actually located in Lawrence. Jake runs the Princeton Pharmacy. Him and his team are fantastic, and they help provide us with vaccinations for our homebound community and for Project Freedom, and any others that may need special vaccinations that we can accommodate. I'm happy to take any questions from the council, or if you think of anything after the fact, you could always feel free to email me.
Any questions?
Mayor, I just would like to say, one thing that we plan to do this year is we are going to onboard the health department to have an online platform that is intended to increase the productivity and improve the experience of staff members, as well as improve the service that we provide to residents and businesses in terms of making it easier to issue applications, process applications. We started it this past year. We did some soul searching and troubleshooting, and we've now kind of targeted what we want to be able to do with regard to the health department. So that's something that we're going to plan on working on for 2025. In addition, we do have improvements planned for the lower level where we have clinics, where our nurses work out of. We wanted to improve that area to make it a better experience for the residents that come in to use those services as well.
Well, thank you for all your work.
Thank you.
Next, we'll have James DeFort, construction official.
Evening, Mayor and Council. This year, 24 was another busy year for us in the construction department. We basically took in, with our clerical staff, 800 applications. And between 5 and full-time inspectors, we performed 8,901 inspections, a little up from last year. We do have a lot of, I'm sorry, I'm losing my spot here. We do have our software program in place for e-filing. We're putting the final touches on that. We are contracted through fasttrack.gov, their sister parent company that they do for e-plan, which accepts all the plans. We're still working with those people there. And we have a meeting next week with the Plan Table company to finalize, hopefully, and get those ordered. It's been a long road with that. The other problem we're facing, and Chris can contest to this, that the state's having problems with the contractors who have their seals electronically sending them to us or anywhere in the state. They want to make sure they're secure. So that's another holdup right now. People can go online, they can actually see their application. They can actually pay for it online now, which is a real big saving for us. Some of the projects finishing up this year, Ryan Homes will be finishing up their last 2 buildings are going into the ground now. They anticipate being done in the end of July, middle of July, end of July. We have 3 new restaurants coming into Mercer One Mall. They're taking over the Hooters place, Cheeseburger, and the Houlihan's. So that's getting redone. We also have a Starbucks coming to Mercer One Mall, which will be on the other side of the Bank of America with a drive-through. We have various residential projects going on and a lot coming into our office. So we anticipate another busy year for us. We just received for the project behind the Lawrence Shopping Center. It's 12 townhouses and there are 2 buildings with apartments. We're going to start redoing that very shortly. We're still also waiting for confirmation from the DEP for the sewer commitment too. They applied for it, and once that happens, we'll get that moving. And the other large is Bristol Myers Squibb on 206. They have a lot of projects, so they keep us very busy up there. So we're nonstop right now, and hopefully we'll be bringing on next week a full-time plumbing guy to give me a little bit of help. And that's pretty much all I have.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And construction is good for the economy.
Absolutely.
And now we'll have Mr. Jack Oakley, Emergency Management Coordinator. Great on time. Wow.
Short and sweet.
Oh, that hurts me. These other guys didn't tell you, but they yielded all their time to me. So I'm sorry, but you have to suffer through this a little bit. Good evening, Mayor Farmer, members of council, Manager Nowinski, Mr. Newman, and Clerk Carter. Thank you for allowing me to have this opportunity to speak to you tonight regarding the emergency services budget for 2025. Before I get started, I'd like to have a request for a moment of reflection. We lost two very important, longtime members of our volunteer fire staff over the past 2 weeks. Both of them were past fire chiefs. Past Chief Ken Johnson was also a longtime employee of the Public Works Department here at Lawrence and at Slackwood, and past Chief Ted Clement from the Lawrence Road Fire Company. So if we could just have a moment of reflection for those gentlemen who made a mark with their dedication and their service to Lawrence Township in the years that they were here. Thank you. So we get started with the budget. The first thing will be the fire division that we're going to speak about briefly. We have 9 career staff people that are on duty from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. We had a rotation of 3 stations that they were operating out of, each with a 3-person staff. As of right now, we revised that slightly, and we have larger contingents on 2 trucks throughout the shift from 8 to 4. One rides out of the Slackwood station, and the other one rides out of the Lawrenceville station. In addition to their emergencies requiring the fire department response, they do a lot of inspecting of their equipment, so forth, which we've gone over. And I promise this year, no surprises, no people showing up here, with any kind of equipment on or anything. We're not going to do that this year. Okay. They mount equipment. They do all the different things. They also respond to medical emergencies when our career EMS staff is tied up. So they do. They also do the regular inspecting of the apparatus. They exercise pumps. They maintain breathing apparatus. They do a lot of different things for the fire service during their 8 hours of operation, Monday through Friday. They pretty much take care of all of the fire safety programs in the township. They go to all the schools, preschools. They do a couple of things in July where they have kids in Safety Town that comes up here. So they take their job seriously, and fire safety with young kids is a big part of our job. For calls for service for the fire division in 2024, there were 1,334 calls as of the time when we actually put this together, which was the end of November. And the total calls for 2023 were 1,278. We are probably a little over 1,400 calls for last year, which is a pretty big increase. Just a little bit about dispatching and responses for the different divisions. You can see the career staff, Slackwood, Lawrence Road, and Lawrenceville. One of the things that we're going to speak about is centralization of a response for the volunteer staff. So some of these things that you see here, as far as the scratched assignments for some of the stations, they're not really accurate from July 15th on, because we basically put all of our volunteer staff into one station. Just a couple of the assignments that we were on throughout the year. We actually had 3 working structure fires in the town last year, in addition to some serious motor vehicle accidents. And this is just the career staff they train. Our volunteer staff, Slackwood, Lawrence Road, and Lawrenceville, they definitely continue to sustain a very positive influence on our fire service. They do a great job. As of July 15th, we consolidated the 3 fire stations for a voluntary program. The volunteers had the opportunity to move their equipment, their gear, from the 2 stations, Lawrenceville and Slackwood, to Lawrence Road. We were trying to do a force multiplier here, where we have more volunteers coming to a central location, which allows us to get apparatus out at a quicker rate, and not to have as many non-responses as we've had in the past. So it seemed to work out. As a matter of fact, in the 6-month period, which was our test period, it looks like anywhere from 55 to 60% of an increase in our responses. So that's good. Now, that's only 1 truck. Okay, that's only 1 piece of apparatus getting out most of the time. So that's very good. The follow-up is that one truck gets there while the rest of the volunteers responded to the station. They might get held up by the officer in charge because it's just taking a little bit longer and the incident doesn't require more. We did 10 background investigations on potential applicants, and we had one person graduate from the Mercer County Fire School. The volunteers continue to, like I said, they continue to be a very important influence and a very important support for our fire service. We spoke about that. This just gives you a little idea of some of the responses during that 6-month period. All this information is contained in the books. It's a little idea of what the fire division does. Our emergency medical division, we have a core of career people, staff. We have 10 career EMTs, one's chief of EMS, Chrissy Vincent, and we have the 3 ambulances that we run for a 24/7 operation. The crews are broken up into 12-hour shifts. So there's every 12 hours, there's 2 EMTs that are on board. And then we have an extra truck that we put in periodically that helps with some calls, second calls and third calls that are in the town. And they pick up additional revenue sometimes for us as well. We have 18 per diems. It seems to be a little bit more difficult, like the volunteer staff. The per diems seem to be spread out quite a bit. They work for a lot of different municipalities. So when we have openings in our staff, it becomes a little bit more difficult for us to fill with a per diem. Sometimes we have to split shifts in order to get the per diems on board. But it seems to work out. Chrissy Vincent does an excellent job as the chief of EMS. Make sure you tell her I said that.
On the record.
On the record. Last year, 2024, 4,029 responses. That's what we had, 4,029. You can do the math on 365 days a year. So it's definitely a busy operation. We have a lot of increases in our responses to Marsfall, St. Lawrence, Clover Meadows, places like that. It just gets to be overwhelming after a while. We find ourselves sometimes going there 2, 3, 4, 5 times a day for those calls. The second ambulance, there's some stats about what they picked up, 412 calls while they were in service. And this is a very important line. EMS continues to struggle with exposures from COVID-19, RSV, mycoplasma pneumonia, and the noroviruses. Those are the mycoplasma pneumonia is a respiratory issue. And the majority of our calls right now are all centered around respiratory emergencies. It seems like it's the biggest thing going right now. And it's nothing to kid around with. I mean, it's serious. And we're finding that our staff is being infected as well. So we're losing people for a couple of days till they get over it. But it's definitely at a very high rate right now. And the hospital's just overwhelmed with people. Just give you an idea of our medical division, what they responded to. The Fire Marshal's division. Fire Marshal Ed Tenza has 2 full-time inspectors, a housing inspector, and a fire inspector administrative assistant. Last year, I think it was, they lost Don Aronson from that department, so these people had to pick up and carry the load. And you're going to notice from some of the revenue that they made, they did an outstanding job last year. So for their inspections for the year, I think they totaled somewhere, the total amount was for inspections. For their inspections, they did 2,761 inspections and investigations. They generated $368,236.28 in revenue. The housing department conducted 487 inspections and generated $127,170 per week. That's a monumental task for a small group of people. Just to give you an idea what the housing division does. This is their month-to-month, how much they brought in. And now I'll address the operating budget for 2025. The Office of Emergency Management is staying steady at $8,000. Emergency Medical Service, there's $43,000 that's requested. That $43,000 does not go for salaries or wages or or any incidentals like that. It's all for perishable equipment that we go through and repairs to equipment that we break, and the purchase of new equipment. But new equipment, some of the things that we showed you last year, and we told you how much it cost, they have gone up since then. So it's not easy. I know the CFO mentioned that the power cot is one of the things that we are $50,000 for a stretcher. That's what it is. So that's the state of where we're at as far as equipment goes. Personal protective equipment, $60,000. If you remember, we were asking for additional money for personal protective equipment over the past couple of years. We have made a tremendous gain on the equipment that we have right now. I think we're just about at the stage right now where we're starting to just fill in bits and pieces of equipment. If you remember, it's about $20,000 a person to outfit them completely with equipment. So, it's only about $5,000 or $6,000 for the turnout gear, but the additional stuff, the SCBAs, which you see on here for $125,000, that right there is what we use to repair or replace the present equipment that we have. They all have shelf life, so we have to get rid of it after a certain amount of time. The fire service radios and pagers, $100,000. We're still trying to climb out of the hole that we had from that 2015 grant from the county, where they bought us, $1 million worth of radios and equipment. But at this point right now, again, the serviceability of those pieces of equipment has gone down the drain. So we have to replace them. There's no repairing them anymore because they don't make the parts for them. So we have to replace. For the replacement of a ladder truck and a pumper, $150,000, which we have been contributing over the past few years to gain a little bit of money to be able to actually go out and purchase these pieces of equipment. And that's all I have. I know, you were expecting more. I realize that you were expecting more.
Thank you for your presentation. And fortunately, the past year, I was able to, I think both Councilwoman Perry and I were able to visit all of the firehouses and see the work very much up close. So definitely gain appreciation for all that you just mentioned. Yeah, so thank you.
Mayor, I have one question, if that's all right. I know you'd mentioned the sort of response times for the combined volunteers. How does that compare to the paid staff in terms of response time? Is it comparable? Are we having any issues with the response time of a centralized location?
The response times, and you have to remember the volunteers are coming from home, so they're not stationed in the station. So the turnout time for the career staff is probably a minute to a minute and a half. They're getting out the door. The volunteers, by the time they travel from their house, get geared up and jump on the truck, you're probably talking maybe from the time of dispatch, 7, 8, 9 minutes sometimes. So it is a considerable, but if you're looking at the NFPA standards, and it's an acceptable practice depending on what you got on the truck and responding to a particular area. So as long as we are getting equipment out, that's what the mainstay is here, just to get the equipment out the door.
Thank you.
Mayor, may I have unless you're.
I was going to ask a quick question. Has the consolidation raised the efficiency as far as getting the volunteers out?
Yes,
And have they all complied with the centralization?
not all. There are still some that chose not to participate in the program, but that's you have to expect that. It's a voluntary program. We didn't make it mandatory. I think when you look at centralizing your response, at some point it has to become mandatory, but also we need to have a station, a centralized station to get everybody to, because the station that they're responding to at Lawrence Road right now, it lacks some of the important things that it needs, shower facilities, bunk facilities for male and female, things like that.
Jack, could you just talk about the impact 3 additional firefighters are going to have on the department?
Yes, the 3 additional firefighters will allow us to expand the coverage hours for the career staff. The Monday through Friday, 8 to 4, will definitely change. How that will change and how much more time we will get between Manager Nowinski and myself, and I think we'll be able to figure that out. But we will be able to expand the coverage time for sure, which will also help alleviate the responsibility of the volunteers responding to calls after the career staff is off.
And council, we've discussed, I think the main thing that we need to work out, and hopefully it is this year, is whether we're going to consolidate and whether we are going to start the process of getting a new facility. That new facility will allow us to properly grow a career fire department. At this point in time, we have to maintain the growth that we're experiencing now because it's got to fit with certain parameters of scheduling. But a facility that's going to meet all the federal and state guidelines for the safety of our fighters is critical. And so the faster we get to the point where we know what we're doing, then we can identify how more aggressively we can grow the career fighter to ultimately, if it need be a 24/7, 365 operation.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you.
Okay, that concludes our budget presentations at this time. We are now open for public participation, 5 minutes.
These presentations will be put on our website.
So all of the presentations on this evening will be available to the public on the Lawrence Township website. Hello, good evening.
Hi, Mayor. Thank you, Council, Madam Clerk, Manager, other council, yes. My name is Jim Hooker. I'm on the board. I'm here as a member of the board of the Friends of Colonial Lake Park nonprofit with Tom Ritter, who is our president. And we come at least once a year. We usually here a little more than once a year for various things, including tonight, right? Maybe. In any event, here's the new calendar. Here's what we come with. We actually sell these as a fundraiser. They're $20 a pop if anyone wants one. But the council and clerk, manager do their wonderful work that they did some years ago, stopping a development there. It's putting together a bunch of open space money and that kind of stuff. And stopping the development and buying that in perpetuity for the park. So we do this, we give them a calendar each year to thank them for those wonderful efforts. The beautiful belted kingfisher, one of my favorites, is the cover. I don't know who took the picture. It's here. Oh, here it is. Laura Norosik. Is she local?
Works at the library.
Works at the library. And some people are, like we have someone from Bucks County who comes and shoots. Gary Sabo, we all know, the retired firefighter. So, and beautiful pictures. Of course, the bald eagle is in here, and makes its appearance. The great blue heron, rabbits, you can go on and on. So here's a couple of folks who said things about nature and the importance of a park like this better than I or Tom, better than we can say it. And these are to be found in the calendar. There's little sayings. So Mayor, like you, inspirational, your sayings or quotes, and here's a couple of quotes, and this one from Jacques Cousteau. For most of history, man has had to fight nature to survive. In this century, he was in the 20th century, he is beginning to realize that in order to survive, he must protect it. And that's, I think, where we are now, and that's what the great council did, and the township all coming together. Then here's one from Jimmy Carter. Like music and art, love of nature is a common language that can transcend political or social boundaries. And that's pretty much what happens here. And one more from Lady Bird Johnson, our first lady in the 60s. The environment is where we all meet, where we all have mutual interests. It is the one thing all of us share. And you can see that as you all have down at the park any given day, weekend, weekday, from all walks of life, as we've all talked about and we've all seen. And so those inspirational quotes sort of speak to that, I think. And so with that, we'll just turn these over to Madam Clerk. So there's one for all of you there. And we appreciate once again everything that you did and continue to do. And Mr. Whitehead is here, and Nancy's here, and different folks who are always, helping out down at the park. The mayor, the councilman, we've walked it together. Last year, we celebrated the 100th anniversary, and that's about it. And we thank everyone for all that you do and all of your support. It's a beautiful park, and we all continue to enjoy it and treasure it with your support. Tom, you want to say anything?
I can't tell.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you all
so
very much.
Thank you.
And we're looking forward to February 14th. We'll be back at Colonial Lake for Valentine's Day.
That's a beautiful event,
Yeah,
yes. The colder, the better, too. It's a lot of fun.
Looking forward to
Nice
that.
winter.
Yeah,
Speak for yourself.
Those are the best.
Thank you for the calendars.
Yeah, I'm Nancy Albertson, just here, I just want to put on record that I'm here lots of times for Trenton Block on Hardscape. Again, they've got stuff on the township property, which I did email you guys. I do have pictures. Kevin did, again, Jim, I guess, went out and had him clear the stuff. Looks like he did, but unfortunately, he's still doing what he is told not to do. So I hope that we can get that fence up soon. I know the ground is hard, but he shouldn't be allowed to continue to do this. So, okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, and thank you for always salting my end of my road. I can get to work every day. Thank you.
And we do go out each
Yeah.
time that there is, we do go out and take a look at the property and stuff.
Mayor, I'd like to just, I think we could say this publicly now.
Okay.
I received word from the owner of Trenton Block that they have acquired a new location, and it is their plan to systematically move out of their current Cherry Tree Lane location and relocate. So having said that, we're holding off on the fencing for now until we can figure out, and if for some reason it gets delayed, we're gonna put the fence up. But if not, we don't know what's gonna happen next with that site, but it's good news.
Yes, thank you.
So there'll be, and that happened a couple weeks ago, and so their plan is hopefully by June. I don't wanna hold the owner to anything specific, but plan is to get out.
Well, and they are a business, a Lawrence business that it has grown and is expanding. And so, it's good news that they are expanding, and I believe will still be a Lawrence. Can I say that?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, okay.
Good evening, everyone. Thomas Littlejohn, 15 East Dare Lane. So there was one thing that I did want to ask about tonight. During these past few weeks, ICE has been ramping up their arrests on undocumented, illegal immigrants here in the U.S. And, one thing that I am really concerned about is the surprising amount of arrests for actual American citizens who have, done the due process to become American citizens and everything. There was that incident that happened in Newark a few weeks ago. There have been ICE vehicles being spotted over in Ewing and other local areas. I was just wondering, so I know that of course, I know that the federal government overpowers the jurisdiction of, local and state governments. But is there anything that the, local and state governments could do to possibly curtail, these arrests of, legalized citizens?
Thank you for your question, and I guess I'll answer.
Yeah,
just
the
briefly.
short answer is no. No, we're navigating in a new world right now, this country. And it's a federal program, and ICE acts under federal authority. I can tell you that, like I shared with you all, that I've met with our police chief to get a sense of what our police response would be in a ICE raid situation.
Yeah.
And we've committed back in 2018, and it still remains, that our local police department will not participate in any ICE operations other than to protect the perimeter, to ensure the public safety of anyone else. We're not going to get involved in any ICE activities with regard to that. The police chief also indicated that they're waiting for guidance from our New Jersey Attorney General, because this is all new to all of us. So I can share the concern. I know our governing body shared the concern with me, so it's a fluid situation. And as soon as we get more guidance from the Attorney General and our Mercer County prosecutor, who's the chief law enforcement officer for the county, we'll share it with the community.
Thank you, I really do.
And just, if I could just add to it, one of our committees, the DEI committee, is looking to have a community conversation with leaders in our community to just assist and educate members of our community with regards to how to behave and what additional information is available. But that, in support of just general information and education.
Thank you so much, I really do appreciate it.
May I make one comment before you leave? I sit as a chair for the National Haitian Association of Elected Officials, and we've put out on our website information so people know what to do and what not to do. We will be having a Zoom with resources such as attorneys and local advocates to give people guidance on how to navigate it. So once that information is available, if permitted, I will share it on the township website so everyone can know what's going on.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yep.
Just gonna sign.
Good evening to everyone, Mayor, Council, Kevin. Sorry that my hair is out of place, it's not as neat as Jack's. My name is John White. I'm the electrical sub-code official here in Lawrenceville. And I'm also the president. We have a lot of people in our office that wear a lot of hats. And I'm the president of Central Jersey Code Officials also. So we get a lot of information about where our industry, speaking of construction, Mayor, you said that earlier. And also to add to what Peter put up about what the UCC fees, I think it was like 1.3 million, Peter, something like that. Just to provide some context, I learned today through New Jersey Board of officials, building officials, that there's pending legislation that inspectors will have to have their inspection done in 2.5 hours. So if someone called in, and we had, by law, we're supposed to have 8 inspections a day. I don't think we're nowhere near that. I think we're above that, beyond the mark. And we don't complain, we get it done. And where I'm going with this, unfortunately, because of the short manpower, nobody wants to come into this industry. And we know that council in America gets a lot of calls when we don't show up at a particular time. We're stressed. And no one's putting pressure on anyone, it's just that no one's coming in. And I remember Councilwoman Perry, right, mentioned something in the hall about what can we do, right? Can we get our salaries up, to bring people in? And that's an industry-wide problem. And it pays well. It pays well, but it's really difficult to get people in. And when we talk to people, it is about the pay. All right, and this new bill and the lack of construction. I just lost one of my employees, my inspector. And now we got a former retiree, double retired. He's back, but he's limited. He's very limited in what he can do. He's 76, and I'm not knocking that. I'm thankful to have him. All right, but Jim, he's been, let me see, mechanical, plumbing, construction official. And I just want the panel to really, really take that into consideration. And I really appreciate having Kevin as our, and I mean this. There was a call a couple years ago, and a person lost their heat, all right? And they had a unlicensed electrician go in there and do work. And there was pressure put on to have me sign off on the document, all right? And unless the Township Council is going to sign off and says, you give us power to do that and take full responsibility if that house burns down. So I really appreciate Mr. Nowinski. I never come to these meetings, I live in Columbus, but I'm here because I'm working overtime. But I'm not on overtime now. I did clock out here. But that being said, I really, really wanted to stress that because 2 years ago, there was another bill. And that's approved, 84788, expedited inspections. With all of the construction that we're seeing in our town, all right, the fees at 1.3 million, the township would be obligated to give that money back. Let that sink in. And I'm not saying it's your fault, I'm just saying industry-wide, how do we get more people in? You know, because we truly, truly are stressed. And I would hate for the township, or any township, to start giving the money back. And if we were short, like some towns, they allow, and Mr. Bobbitt knows this, because some towns, they want a person to have every license. I think that's a problem. I'm an electrician of 40 plus years, all right? Jim's been a plumber and I still run my contracting business, all right? And imagine a township having to give up, that's $300. They can go up to $300, right, Jim? If I remember, $300 per inspection. So if you had a fire, electrical, building, mechanical, and went out there, there's $1,200 just disappeared from our budget. So imagine if one of these massive construction projects come in and we're still short. You know, and again, I'm coming from the point where, you know, the council, please understand that we're short. So when that call comes in, you know, they're saying, I mean, they say a lot of things. We get it, but we also get a lot of attaboys in this town because we bust our humps. We really do. I mean, I'm trying to save my hair, Jack. But anyway, thank you. Any questions?
Yeah, I do have a question. Do you do any outreach with high schools or young people? Because I know the trades are such great professions. And I know that there's vocational opportunities. I know that, do we do anything like that?
Mentoring?
Yeah.
I think I
or
mentioned that to you before. I have no
Yeah.
problem. I brought kids in my office before. I'm a former teacher as well.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, so I have no problem. And we do as Central Jersey code officials, we actually would go to different, like Mercer County,
Mhm.
and we'd talk to the kids. And that gentleman that mentioned something about, is he still here? About the issue with what's going on nationally.
Yeah.
When you go to Mercer County, and I went to Mercer County years ago for my apprenticeship, and the demographics have changed tremendously. That class was pretty much Latino, you know? So the workforce has changed tremendously, you know? So, but we try.
Okay.
We try.
Mayor, can I ask one question?
Sure.
Do you happen to know off the top of your head the bill number?
I'm going to find out tomorrow.
If you could send it to the clerk and she
84788.
can send it to all of us.
Yeah, NJBOA called me up today and announced
Okay.
that. I said, another one?
Yeah, I
Really?
have with me.
Yeah,
Yeah, if you could get it to the clerk and then she could forward it to council back.
yeah, I get that, Mr. Bob, not an issue.
Thank you, Mr. Wayne.
Let's hope it doesn't go anywhere.
Well, having that number, we could lobby with our partners in the legislature to ask them to help us with that.
Yeah, that was the gist of the conversation today. They used to have presidents' meetings for all these organizations. And I said, well, you're the lead chapter for the state. You need to make that happen. I said, I'm on board, so. Because we have 165 members, yeah, CJCOA. Yep. Thank you.
Education piece.
Sylvia Cobus. I would like to take an opportunity to that we have department heads here at the meeting and EMS and fire department, to thank you all for, as we hear it every time in Madame Clerk's inspiration, you are a part of making this community a great community to live in. And we truly appreciate all your hard work that you put in for us residents to enjoy this community. The salted roads, the cleanups, at the end of the Cherry Tree Lane, there is a barrier before the entrance to the Delaware River Raritan Canal. That's always, someone always enjoys putting graffitis there, and as soon as we call, it's covered up. So we truly appreciate the help, and it's a wonderful, it's great to be here tonight to listen to all of the achievements of all the departments, because we don't see it every day. You don't see it unless you need something. You don't see it, and luckily we didn't need the health department too much this year. So it's wonderful to hear all of the things that are happening in the township, and we truly appreciate all your hard work. So thank you very much, and thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you. Okay. Seeing no additional public comments, I'm closing public comments at this time.
Mayor, may I just say, I want to thank all the department heads for coming tonight. Even the ones that weren't presenting, they're here as a show of camaraderie and support for those that are presenting. It speaks a lot about the professionalism and the teamwork atmosphere that this township government has, and I appreciate you all being here. And also the EMTs, firefighters, volunteers that were here, they all just had to leave. I want to thank you guys for being here tonight. It's important.
Absolutely, absolutely share the sentiments. Thank you all for being here this evening.
And you don't have to stay.
There
you go. Keith, that's noted that you're leaving. Not the long, you got one.
Okay, review and revision of agenda. I don't think we have anything.
I think that we
Do
did.
we have something to
I want to add
adjust?
personnel discussion,
Okay,
and it's not about any present employee.
okay.
For closed
So
session.
for closed session,
Closed
so
session, right.
it's potential land acquisition
Position
and
and personnel.
personnel. It's very brief.
All right, I'll make a motion to amend. I think we should, yes? I think that would be proper. I think I'll make a motion to amend 18H6, number 93, to read authorizing a closed session of council immediately following the regular meeting to discuss potential land acquisition and personnel.
I second.
Okay. Madam Clerk, if you call the roll, please.
Mr. Bobbitt,
Yes.
Mr. Kanaki,
Yes.
Ms. Perry,
Yes.
Mayor Farmer.
Yes. Okay. Adoption of minutes. I believe we can adopt, regular meeting September 17th.
Yeah, I'll ask the clerk about August 20th, as Mr. Ryan hasn't been here for a few meetings now. How can we move forward on this?
You can if you,
Okay,
you can if you've read them, understand them, and agree with them, you can vote on them.
okay. That would be for, Councilwoman Perry and myself.
Yes.
Okay.
Then I guess we're prepared, right?
Yep.
To move forward. Thank you, Madam Clerk, for that clarification.
You're welcome.
Now, need a motion?
So in that case, I'll move 8A, regular meeting, August 20th, 2024.
May I have a second?
Second.
Madam Clerk, if you could call the roll, please.
Mr. Bobbitt,
Yes.
Mr. Kanaki,
Yes.
Ms. Perry,
Yes.
Mayor Farmer.
Yes.
Mayor, I'll move 8B, regular meeting September 17th, 2024.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Mr. Bobbit?
Yes.
Mr. Kanaki?
Yes.
Ms. Perry?
Yes.
Mayor Plummer?
Yes. Awarding and a rejection of bids. Okay. Introduction of ordinances.
Mayor, I'll move 10A, ordinance number 2484-25, an ordinance amending Chapter 10, Article 6 of the Lawrence Township Administrative Code entitled Officers and Employees, Section 1038, Municipal Clerk, Deputy Municipal Clerk position.
Hearing in a second, we'll table this.
Second. You didn't ask for a second.
Okay.
No, I'm seconding.
Okay, we have a second. Madam Clerk, call the roll, please.
Mr. Bobbit?
Yes.
Mr. Kanaki?
Yes.
Ms. Perry?
No.
Mayor Plummer?
No.
Mayor, if I may, since we didn't really have a chance for debate about this, I think it's time for us to move forward as a council and figure out how to appoint a deputy municipal clerk. It seems as if the former having council appoint this position couldn't even get a second the last time. And this time we got a second, and then there was no opportunity for debate. I had some things prepared about classified, unclassified positions, the potential of this position being politicized, being an unclassified position with no input from the municipal manager or the clerk, only from the council. So I hope at the next meeting we can have a chance to have a debate about this, because I think we need to move on from this. This has been going on since October 1st, when a resolution was put forward about a $100,000 job with no budgeted money at the time, no regard for the
Again.
impact on township priorities, or even doing the courtesy of asking the clerk what her office needs. So I hope at the next meeting we can have a conversation about this and move forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bobbit. Okay, adoption of ordinances. We have another adoption.
I'll move 11A, ordinance number 2483-25, an ordinance amending chapter 435 of the Lawrence Township Administrative Code entitled Motor Vehicles and Traffic, addition of handicap parking space at 1632 Brunswick Avenue.
I'll second.
Okay, Madam Clerk, would you call the roll, please? We have a motion by Mr. Bobbit and a second by Councilwoman Perry.
Yes. This is an adoption. Did you want to open it for the public?
Okay. Is there any public comment? Seeing none?
Mr. Bobbit?
Yes.
Mr. Kanaki?
Yes.
Ms. Perry?
Yes.
Mayor Plummer?
Yes. We will now have the manager's report, and I believe he's going to read into the record the budget announcement.
Yes, I'm going to be reading the budget message into the record, and it takes about 10 minutes.
Take your
So
time.
At the 8-minute mark, don't get antsy like I'm going to go on forever.
No, you can take a break at 5 if you need a word.
As we prepared the 2025 municipal budget, future federal and state funding uncertainty was front and center. We were also mindful that our taxpayers will likely have increases from other public entities funded by them. With this as a backdrop, we deemed it necessary and appropriate to limit new non-capital spending to adding 3 police officers and 3 firefighters to municipal operations. We also increased our annual contributions to the 3 volunteer fire companies by $10,000 each, for a total of $70,000 per year to each fire company. We continue to enjoy a favorable financial situation that allows us to provide and improve upon the essential services our community deserves and expects from their local government. In short, we continue to reduce our debt, increase our surplus, add personnel to improve public safety, maintain a forward-thinking, proactive capital improvement plan, and deliver a budget with no increase in our municipal tax for a second consecutive year. Where we find ourselves today isn't by happenstance. It is from a consistent, fiscally responsible approach to governance over the past 8 years and the good work of the employees who serve our community. The total municipal budget is $60,395,196.30. The recommended municipal tax rate for 2025 represents a 0-cent increase from last year and is 0.652. 1 cent equals $475,445.93. The amount to be raised by taxation in 2025 is $31,180.20. The increase of $214,461.81 is attributed to the increased assessed valuation. The levy cap bank available from 2022, 2023, and 2024 is $5,403,374. And we will use $0 to remain within the 2% tax levy cap. Note, the 2022 cap bank of $894,055 expires this year, leaving a usable cap bank of $4,509,319. The 2024 year-end surplus balance is $22,091,314.27 versus a 2023 year-end balance of $20,638,658.38. It's an increase of $1,452,655.89. The surplus balance remaining available after applying an amount as anticipated in 2025 revenue will be $12,776,314.27. Is an increase of $452,655.89 over the 2024 remaining balance. The cash reserve balance for tax appeals is $8,019,491.18. The decrease in outstanding debt continues. The 2010 closing balance was $30,797,000. The 2024 closing balance is $8,365,000, reducing our debt by $2,423,000 from last year. For 2024, we have budgeted, for 2025, we have budgeted another $2,423,000, reduction to our debt. In addition, the year-end reserve balance in the Lawrence Township Self-Insurance Fund is $1,620,853.08. The 2025 municipal budget has an appropriation of $120,000 to fund this decrease. The municipal open space fund balance is $4,031,028.28. Revenue. Revenues that support the municipal budget have multiple sources but are placed in one of 4 categories: surplus, miscellaneous revenues, receipts from delinquent taxes, and the amount to be raised by taxation. The amount of revenue from each category to be anticipated in support of the municipal budget is controlled by state statutes and regulations. Those legal restrictions are in place to promote assurance of the fiscal solvency of New Jersey municipalities. Generally defined, the statutory restrictions are as follows. 1, surplus is limited to the amount available from fund balance cash. 2, miscellaneous revenues are limited to no more than the amount realized in cash in the immediately preceding fiscal year for each revenue source. 3, receipts from delinquent taxes are limited to the collection percentage realized in cash against receivable balances of the prior year. And 4, current taxes are the default revenue necessary to close any gap in revenues to balance the budget against the appropriations. The legal provisions that regulate the utilization of revenue in our operating budget must be applied along with local policy of anticipating revenues at levels that can be sustained for future budgets and with the consideration of replenishment of cash surplus. Receipt of revenues in excess of what is anticipated to be received in a budget is credited to surplus at the year end, simply the regeneration of surplus. The development of revenue estimates must be approached with not only consideration of the current budget, but of future budgets as well. Failure to craft a budget without sustaining revenues for future use will lead to their diminished support of appropriations and increase the demand for taxation. This long-term approach has been applied to prepare the recommended budget. Cash surplus as budget revenue results from the fiscal activity of the immediate prior fiscal year. The amount of surplus to be applied as budget revenue comes from a known year-end balance. The significant contributions to generating the cash surplus are revenue realized in excess of the amounts anticipated to be realized in the prior budget year, lapsed 2023 appropriation reserves, and miscellaneous revenue not anticipated. Cash surplus is anticipated as revenue in the 2025 recommended budget of $9,315,000. Surplus is 15 42/100% of the total budget revenue. Miscellaneous revenues are from known and recurring sources: permit fees, interest income, state aid. The amount of revenue from this category is limited by statute to not being anticipated in the current year's budget in excess of what was collected from that same identical source in the immediately prior year. Miscellaneous revenues are 31 34/100% of the total budget revenues. Receipts from delinquent taxes are receipts from payments of outstanding prior year tax receivables and tax title liens held by the municipality. The year-end tax receivable balance is $1,267,670.36. The 2025 budget anticipates $1,150,000 as revenue from this source. Delinquent tax revenue is 1 90/100% of the total budget. Property taxes are the amount necessary to balance the budget with revenues to equal appropriations. Property taxes, also referred to as the amount to be raised by taxation, is the difference between the total of all budget appropriations and the total of anticipated revenues. The amount to be raised by taxation in the 2025 budget is $31,180.20, an increase of $214,461.81. The revenue from property taxes is 51 33/100% of total revenues. When calculating the tax rate, it is necessary to know not only the amount of taxes to be collected, but also the value of taxable property in the municipality, also known as the net valuation taxable. The 2025 net valuation taxable is $4,754,459,300. This is an increase of $32,912,700 over the previous year. This increase in taxable value helps to support budget growth. The amount of taxable value results in 1 penny on the tax rate, equaling $475,445.93. The recommended municipal tax rate for 2025 is 0.652, a 0-cent increase. A residential property owner with a property valued at the 2025 average residential assessment of $287,570 will pay $1,874.96 as the municipal portion of their property taxes. Appropriations. While crafting the 2025 recommended municipal budget, the challenge continues to be implementing financially efficient services at an appropriate level. New Jersey municipal budgets are restricted by law, known as the appropriation cap, to limit designated appropriations from increasing no more than 2.5% or the cost of living adjustment, whichever is less, with exceptions. For fiscal year 2025, per the New Jersey DCA, the cost of living adjustment was 2.5%. Below is a list of the significant increases in our appropriations. Our capital improvement fund, we increased by $1 million, and that is geared towards renovations costs for the neighborhood center. Salary and wages, $842,628. That is due to new hires and contractual increases. Employee group health, $841,482.40. MCIA, $61,558.96. It's a contractual increase. Joint insurance fund, $47,323.50, increase in premium. And fire company funding, as I stated, we're increasing it by $30,000 to help provide additional assistance to our volunteer fire companies. The recommended budget includes a funding of $55,000 to the Lawrence Township Unemployment Fund, $120,000 to the Self-Insurance Trust Fund, and $51,000 to the Lawrence Township Accumulated Sick Leave Trust Fund. These are consistent annual budget contributions. Lawrence Township municipal employees are provided health benefits or may qualify for a cash payment in lieu of receiving health benefits if the employee complies with the applicable eligibility requirements of the health care program. Health benefits are provided through the New Jersey State Health Benefits Program, which dictates specific benefit and co-payments. Employees contribute a percentage of the premium for their applicable coverage, and the salary levels guide these percentages contributions. Employees will contribute $1,445,033 towards the cost of their health insurance. The employee group health insurance appropriation increased $841,482.40. That's a 19% increase. The appropriation increased due to rate changes, participation, and new hires. Lawrence Township employees are members of the Public Employee Retirement System, Police and Fire Retirement System, or the Defined Contribution Retirement Plan. Participation in these systems requires contribution from employees and the employer. Police and fire employees contribute 10% of their salary. Civilian employees contribute 7 50/100% of their salary to PERS and 5 1/2% for the DCRP. The employer rates of contribution are 37% for police, 17 11/100% for PERS, and 3% for the DCR participants. The 2025 appropriations for PFRS is $2,186,575. For PERS, $1,267,260, and DCRP is $9,500. The 2024 appropriations were PFRS was $2,248,258, PERS $1,251,933, and the DCRP $9,500. The state of New Jersey fully administers the pension system. Lawrence Township is billed annually for the pension liability that must be paid to PFRS and PERS for the employer's share of the contribution. The systems are valued on prior wage levels 2 years prior for PERS and PFRS. The Ewing Lawrence Sewage Authority provides sewer treatment services to Ewing Township and Lawrence Township. The cost of that service is controlled by ELSA and is apportioned to each municipality based on the flow levels received at the plant. Each town will pay the debt service for specific projects that benefit the individual community. For 2025, the annual charge for Lawrence Township is $6,200,000 with no rate increase to the end users, Lawrence Township residents. The appropriation is paid from collecting sewer service fees separate from real estate taxes. The appropriation for debt service includes appropriations for band interest in the amount of $276,164.58, $42,450.24 in lease payments related to police vehicles, and the statutory band payments of $354,573.25, and $2,068,426.75 in band rollover payments to further decrease the township outstanding debt with an anticipated settlement in 2027, meaning the township would be debt-free if we continue on our track as we are. The reserve for uncollected taxes is non-spending appropriation mandated by state law to collect adequate cash through taxes for the school, county, and municipality tax levy requirements. The appropriation is needed to close the gap between current taxes anticipated and 100% being collected. What this means is if the taxpayer fails to pay their taxes, municipal government has to use its budget to provide 100% payments to both the school and the county. If they get 100%, we got to deal with it. That's something to discuss with the state representatives. The appropriation is needed to close the gap between the current taxes and anticipated and 100% being collected. This appropriation is $4,504,185.04 in 2025, of which approximately 14.53% is attributable to the municipal portion of the tax rate. All right, I don't know how long that took, but I can tell you that Pete Geary got us put a lot of time and effort into crafting the budget. We met to discuss budget messaging, and I think this year more than any other year, we're seeing a couple of things that are driving us to say we should not hit the taxpayers with more taxes if we can control it, and we can control it at this point in time. We know that what's pending with the school, if it's passed, is going to be a significant burden upon our taxpayers. And we also know that there's going to be an increase from the county. We don't know what that is, but our taxpayers are going to pay that. We saw the pie. We're the smallest of the property taxes that are collected. And in addition, we just don't know where we're going to land with regard to federal funding and how the decrease of federal fundings to the state is going to flow from state funding to us. So we have consistently benefited from approximately $4 million worth of state aid. We don't know if that's gonna happen next year. We hope it does, but that's why it's important for us to address important public safety issues, like increasing our police department and firefighters, but also maintaining a really fiscally responsible approach, knowing that we can't control outside factors. And so that's where we are.
Thank you, Kevin, for that presentation. Attorney's report, do you have anything?
Mayor, if I could, Mayor, before, sorry.
No.
I just want to publicly say that I'm flabbergasted and am really impressed by both the manager's work and the CFO's work, as well as all the department heads, to add staff and keep a flat rate when we're not sure about funding from federal and state sources. That to me is a sign that this town has been run really well for a long time, and that we are in a good position to be prepared for what's next, right? In the past, we've had some hiccups, but right now we are not only having a 0% tax increase, we're adding firefighters, we're adding police officers, we're even adding a deputy municipal clerk apparently. And on top of that, we're almost going to be debt-free by 2027. Think about that. This town will not have any outstanding bonds. It's an incredible testament to the long-term fiscal responsibility that council and the manager and the CFO have shown over the past 30 years. So, bravo.
And it also sets us up nicely for the emergency facility that we may need to have.
Yes.
You know, so it lines up good.
Thank you, Mayor, but nothing to report on that, right? Thank you.
Yeah, I don't feel so badly about bumping it.
These are making extent to this counseling. Love it. Madam Clerk?
I do have something to report. March 11th, we know that the special school board election will be taking place. The ballot box is open now. Ballots ballots should be sent out, I guess, sometime this week from the county. And I do want to say something to the council or recommend something, and I'm uncomfortable about really talking about this. Over the last few years, I've had a little pushback from the use of the fire companies as polling places. And because of that, I as the clerk, I should say, have to certify suggested polling places. And those are three of our largest ones. We have about eight districts between some of these fire or more. And, you know, they don't feel, I think two of them feel because we do not own them, that they're not public buildings. They are public buildings and we should be able to utilize them. So I do want to, at some point, I did reach out to the Board of Elections. I did get the law on it, and we are going to utilize that building. I sent out a letter to them asking for authorization to use the building, and I get sometimes pushback. And I don't think me or any other clerk going forward, a future clerk, should have to put up with that with the public building.
Well, Madam Clerk, if this is the first I'm hearing of it, but please do come to us, and if there is any way in which we can assist in that process, then that really is our role to support you in that way. So I was unaware of that, so.
Yeah, because I bring this to your attention because I'm listening to the budget.
Mhm.
We give public funds. Elections is not an option. It's taxpayer dollars, and those facilities should be utilized, period.
Well, we heard you, so we will look into the matter with. Unfinished business. Do we have anything? Okay, under new business. Did you want to say something? Go ahead, Councilman.
Madam Mayor, I would like to, at next month's meeting, go over, make a recommendation that for any council member that's going to go for training of any type, if it costs more than $250, that the full board has to vote on it. That it's just not going to the clerk saying, I'm going to this class or this meeting, and it is accepted.
How did, is there a certain budget? I think it was budgeted monies, right, for council to attend trainings? Is that my understanding, Manager Nowinski,
Yeah, there is a budget for those.
for those things? Okay.
May I ask
So
a
is
question?
is it $9,000 in 2025?
Yeah, and we could, I mean, if there's any type of question, I don't believe that we use
Any?
minimal of that
I'm
amount.
not saying you two, all right? I'm not saying it's about you two. I'm just bringing it forward that I will tell you this much. Years ago, when I served on this board, there was 3 people on the board I was not on. And they done what's called the walk to Trenton, or walk to Washington. They paid for it out of their pocket.
Okay. Thank you for
So
your
all I'm
comment.
saying is, with something at that cost, it ain't like going to the League of Municipalities. At that cost, council shouldn't have to vote on it. That's all I'm saying.
It's very interesting that this has come up since we have been diligent not to spend very little money in the past. And just so it becomes public record, we have requested, the mayor and I, to join legislatures at the Walk to Washington, which is where we have the opportunity to speak to legislators and have direct access without having going through staff to support this township, especially in this environment where we do not know what will happen in the federal government. So I find it very interesting that all of a sudden that there is a request for a vote. And just to be clear, the total amount that is being spent is $375 per person. Now, if we are able to actually achieve something for this township, that would be minuscule. So I really feel that I understand being fiscal, and I understand that it's important that it is transparent. So that's why I'm going on record. Yes, the mayor and I are taking the walk to Washington, because if we can reach legislators to do anything for this township, that's what I'm going to be doing. Because as most of you will learn, I'm very passionate on making sure that this town gets everything it needs. And I'm not afraid to ask. So I should hope that that money will be well spent, and all members of this council were invited to join us.
You are absolutely right. All members of the council was invited through the municipal clerk when it came up. What I'm saying is, I get paid to sit up here every 2 weeks, a salary. To spend $300 out of my pocket, it's not a problem, because I want to go somewhere.
Okay.
For the years I served, I paid for my stuff. I didn't come to the township and ask the township, other than the League of Municipalities, not going to shut me up. They're not going to shut me up.
Yeah.
Other
Yes,
than,
we are, yes,
other
yes,
than
we are going
going
to
to the
close.
League of Municipalities,
Mr.
the
Konecki,
municipality paid.
Mr.
Look,
Konecki,
I have a
I'm
right
going
to
to
speak,
ask-
and
Point of
I am
order,
going to
point of
speak.
order, Mayor.
All right.
I think the councilman should be able to speak his piece.
I have a right
Go
to
ahead.
speak. You can bang all you want, I'm gonna speak. All I'm saying is,
Well, then you're
it's what
disrespecting
I'm
the
saying
council.
about me. I didn't mention
Yes,
you, I
you
didn't
did.
mention her. I heard this. I called it the walk to Washington.
It is the New Jersey
You came up
Commerce.
with saying, you and the mayor. I refused to say the names. I wasn't saying, I'm
What
saying
did you
about
do?
myself, because I got invited. I'm come out of my
Jim.
pocket instead of the township's money.
Jim,
That's what I'm saying.
Jim.
Point of order.
Do you
Mayor,
really
Mayor,
want to
Mayor,
go
Councilman
there,
Knappy has a right
You
to
wanna
speak.
go there? I think you're being very disrespectful.
I'm
There
not
was a
being
different way that you
disrespectful.
said
You're
that.
twisting it the way you
You
want it
are
twisted.
attacking,
Okay? I'm
fellow.
not attacking
Yes,
anybody.
you are,
No.
okay? And I will not stand for you grandstanding, attacking us, okay? Not
I'm
going
not
to do it.
grandstanding.
I'm not gonna have
attacking you.
it.
I did not
Jim?
mention your name or
I think we're taking recess now,
Councilwoman's
5-minute recess.
Okay?
Recess.
Point of order, to our township attorney, can she call a recess?
Yes.
Just without any vote or anything?
I would believe that there would need to be a vote, but.
I'll withdraw and I'll allow the mayor to have her 5-minute recess.
Yeah, I know I can call a recess. Robert's rules of order.
If I may send the bill to all of you. Check your,
Thank you. Hold on a second.
You turn the
I just wanted to make sure I said I do see you here.
You guys. If you're gonna have a walk outside, because it ends the street, you can't do that. Okay. Okay? So if you want to go out, if you want to go into your chambers, that could be good.
Yeah, okay. I'm gonna stop this. And we'll come back in.
So.
He goes to Florida.
Do you know the answer? You can make a unilateral. Because you can control. Right, it's a destruction. Sure, yeah.
I think it was probably was very I know. Now it's safe, it's safe.
You know what I'm saying?
Because of COVID. Is that still life?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
That was the moment.
How are you?
Doing very well. How are you?
So what happened is AI recorder attached to my phone. I'll show it because it records the entire meeting. And you do this just typing minutes. At the school. Game changer. I didn't want to do it for this meeting. I didn't want to do it for this meeting because I knew it was gonna be too long. No, so it's crazy. I've been using it for like regular meetings, like with developers and stuff. I just tell them, look, I have an AI recorder, and then you hit summary, it summarizes it, and it accuracy. This is actually, it's called Cloud. It attaches to your phone. And so, it takes it all, and then you have two things, you have to complete transcript. So every word catches every word. And then you say, please put this into a summary, please put this into minutes. You're not sitting there tomorrow listening and trying to get stuff in.
Oh, you don't.
So we're gonna try it next meeting.
Try it, because Nicole, you're trying to.
Yeah, so that's where like technology can reduce the need for like hiring a whole new person, right? Because you're gonna capture a whole bunch of time. So we'll try that.
Man, that sounds. I don't want to use that AI.
Yeah, and I've been like on ChatGPT.
No, we haven't, at least for our first service.
You just have ChatGPT, it's like, which is nothing. You can tell me the laws that apply to text technology. Well, it comes right out. And then you just go like this, can you explain the text? For law firms and attorneys. Yeah, you don't 100%, yeah, you gotta vet.
Yeah, she told me that, she used to do it naturally, and I did it one time, I did that, that's the phone. So it was only like a little.
Yeah, but like the more you're on it, you get to figure out how to best use it. It's really cool.
Oh, I think wonderful, because Nicole, doesn't mention.
So this device is like $130. It's like $9. You guys completely.
Oh, especially when I record, because that recorder's getting some old outdated.
Tell everybody, except 5 minutes.
Okay, go get them.
I'll get them. Mayor, is everybody coming out?
I haven't seen Tanya said tonight.
Oh, yeah. We can't appoint if there's no. I cannot do an appointment. I do not have a phone.
And also that. It's my appointment anyway. Perfect. Showtime.
Yes.
Wait a minute, hold on, let me get back. Okay, I'm back in.
Alrighty, let's rock and roll. Mr. Nowinski will be back on.
We're on it.
Okay. New business, appointments to the boards and committees.
Yes.
Mayor, I'd like to appoint Ryan Coulter to the Environmental Resources and Sustainability Green Committee for an existing 4-year term ending 12/31/25. Are we going to do these in a block, Mayor?
No,
So
I don't think you have a lot.
In second? Somebody need a second?
Do you have a second?
For doing it in a block?
No,
No.
just for Ryan.
For
Ryan Coulter for Environmental Resources and Sustainability.
Can we have a second?
He did.
Okay. Madam Clerk, call the roll, please.
Mr. Bobbitt?
Yes.
Mr. Kanaki?
Yes.
Ms. Perry?
Yes.
Mayor Farmer?
Yes.
Mayor, I'd like to nominate Councilwoman Perry to the Class 3 Planning Board seat.
Second?
And then Madam Clerk, call the roll, please.
Mr. Bobbitt?
Yes.
Mr. Kanaki?
Yes.
Ms. Perry?
Yes.
Mayor Farmer?
Yes. Okay, I would like to appoint Mr. Nowinski to the planning board. What is the official title of this class?
That's all that needs to be,
Okay.
just for the record, it's the
Planning
mayor's
board
appointment.
member, class number 2. Do I have a second?
Second?
Madam Clerk, call the roll, please.
Mr. Bobbitt?
Point of order, I believe that's just the mayor's appointment. I don't
Right.
think
Yeah, we
council
don't have
makes.
to vote.
No, we don't,
Okay.
no, that is, I'm sorry, that is.
Yeah.
just
Oh,
her.
I just want to make sure you were, oh, wait,
That's just her.
all right,
It says it right here on paper.
all right. Do we have any other,
I think that's it.
I'm just gonna double check
I was-
with Elsa,
Second, third.
if that's an appointment by the mayor, I believe, right? Mr. Nowinski, I have a question. For the Elsa board, the appointments from Lawrence Township, could you, refresh my memory on what they are?
What we have, how many, we have two
We have one
appointments?
open seat.
One open seat, right? Is that what's happening? We have one open seat, has
No,
that been filled yet?
no.
Yeah.
Okay.
We have no open seats.
Yeah, I have a resignation. I
From who?
received it from Mr. Ryan.
Well, then you need to come to me.
Okay,
So when it comes to me and I formally get a resignation, then we have an open seat.
okay, and that open seat, that's an appointment by mayor?
No, that if it's an appointment by the whole council.
Okay.
And I did receive an application today for that, for someone that's interested in that position.
All right, moving right along. You received the application today? Okay.
Yes.
All right. Are there any other appointments this evening?
No, I don't think so. The other two, I think you had got a planning board one, but we don't have any openings on the planning board. And that was Miss Claire Russell, I think it was. I made a mistake in put Jen's name on it.
Okay.
And then, we did get another one in, but I'll put it on the next meeting for you.
Okay.
It's nothing for public safety either, and we received an application for
All
that.
right. All right, this will bring us now to the public participation, 3 minutes.
Already signed, right?
Hi, Jim Hooker, Bunker Hill Avenue. I just wanted to echo my friend Sylvia Colvis, classy lady who said those nice things about our first responders and others who help our town operate, salting the road, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. You good folks and the manager and his whole squad. So I just wanted to echo what Sylvia had to say, Ms. Colvis, about the services and what a great town it is to live in as a result. And too often we don't give it that due, so thank you.
Seeing no additional public comments, closing out public comments, resolutions.
Mayor, I'd like to move 18A1 through H6 in the block.
I second.
Moving on to page 6.
You're first.
Okay, do we have a second?
I did.
All right, all right, Madam Clerk, if you will call the roll, please.
Mr. Lovett?
Yes.
Mr. Kanaki?
Yes.
Ms. Perry?
Yes.
Mayor Farmer?
Yes. Okay. Council initiatives and liaison reports. Do you have one, Councilman Bobbitt?
Yes, I do, Mayor. Environmental EGAC, as I like to call it, because that's its acronym. We had a great meeting, a couple of new faces from the public there. We talked about a stream restoration project that's going to be happening in off of Texas Avenue in the spring whenever the ground thaws, so that'll be exciting. Live staking, where they put sticks into the side of the stream and they'll take. It'll also be, it's being partially funded by Rutgers as well as AMJAC. And one of the nice things is that Public Works, members of Public Works are going to be there to sort of learn how they can take those skills and apply them to our parklands and other municipal properties, so that's exciting. I also brought up the idea of whether the environmental committee would like to be interested, take a look at mobility issues within the township, or if that might be something separate later on that I might come back to council for help with. So they're going to take a look at it. We had one resident who sort of did a report on his trials and tribulations of walking all the way from the Trent Farmers Market back to the library, and how, you know, I can see Ms. Copus's face. She knows exactly what I know, that's taking your life in your own hands in certain parts of it. So we have some dedicated people on that committee. And then I just wanted to ask, I noticed on Mr. Levine's health report that the Health Advisory Board is missing a council liaison, so we should probably take a look at that. Thanks.
Thank you. Jim, any updates on Elsa? No. Okay, Councilwoman?
No updates, we're still.
Okay.
Oh, Mayor, can I ask a quick question about council initiatives? Are there any updates on the mayor's task force for the community center now that we've heard that the part of the budget is $1 million towards that work? And then I'd also like to ask Ms. Perry if there's any movement on her RFP.
Okay. So let's see. The mayor's task force, as you know, we have received back from the architects first the renderings of the recommended improvements to the 295 Everest Crossing Road. I believe council has all had an opportunity to review that report, and that will be shared with the task force at the next meeting, which is scheduled for February 26th, I believe. And that meeting will take place at the community center, where the task force will have a tour and also review the report from the architects as well. What else? And there will be, consequently after that, there will be a community meeting scheduled. And the task force will also be selecting a chair for that committee. What else?
And Mayor, when you say community meeting, is that open to the public? Is that?
Open to the public, yep. And as you know, Councilman Bobbitt, you are always welcome at the task force meeting anytime you want to attend. As well as any other members of council, you're always welcome. What was the other question?
To Councilwoman Perry about the status of her task force, since we had some conversation, you know, Jack Oakley had spoken a bit about, you know.
So as per my last, per our last meeting, we received 7 bids, which came from throughout the United States, as far west as California and up north as far as Boston. The committee is now reviewing and summarizing each report, which we will then consolidate and present to council for guidance on moving to the next step. This way.
And, okay, I also wanted to give an update on the planning board. The planning board met last night. And I just got a more updated, as we reappointed members to that committee, the chair and the vice chair are the same. And in speaking with the planner, she let us know that the projected timeline for the next second public meeting will be scheduled in the late spring. And that the completion of the report is expected to take place the end of June and July for adoption by the planning board. The draft will be ready June, after she has met with some additional stakeholders in the community. What else? And that they will also, the subcommittee is expected to meet at the end of February. And they are the driving force behind a lot of the work that's being done on the master plan. And she just reiterated that in 2023, the master plan was adopted and we're re-examining the plan as we're required to do every 10 years for review. So we are still within deadline for that. So that is continuing. And then also want to share that the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Committee will be having a roundtable discussion with stakeholders and leaders in our community to discuss some of the concerns that have been brought up with regards to immigration and also some anxiety that people have about the current administration. So there will be a roundtable to help support some of our neighbors who are experiencing some difficulty at this time. Not to mention our young people as well. We've gotten word that there is concern with regards to that. All right, so I think
Excuse me, is there a date for that roundtable?
the roundtable will happen in February. I do not have the date before, as of yet before me, but it will be in February. And that is actually going to be a Zoom call, so it'll allow for people who may not be local. But they're committed to doing the work of supporting our neighbors and informing the public of things that are being represented, not only in the national news, but that potentially impact us here locally. So we want to make sure we have all the resources and information. All right, any other reports? No, all right. Written communication. We have, this evening, we have a letter from the Friends of Colonial Lake Park regarding a resolution to change the path of the planned Elsa sewer line through the Colonial Lake Park to avoid imperiling irreplaceable 100-year-old trees in the park. And you all, I believe, received a copy of that letter from the Friends of the Colonial Lake, and just I guess in support of us creating a resolution. Are there any comments on that?
Mayor, can I ask the township manager, was Mr. Filler, the executive director of ELSA, the Young Long Sewer Authority, was he scheduled to come before council at any point?
We have not formally made that request. You can certainly do that.
Because it strikes me as something where there's concerns in the community, so I think it would be good to hear directly from the executive director, just what the plans actually are. Because I understand that in the summer, we got a letter and a map, but that doesn't seem to be assuaging the fears of some of members of our community. So I think him coming in and publicly stating what's going on would be great.
And I think you had mentioned that he usually comes in March for budget, but we could ask him to
He
come,
usually does come in.
we could ask him to come separate from that,
We can absolutely make that request.
okay, to address this particular matter. And that's, I guess, sooner better than later, so if we decide. Okay. And we also received a letter from Eva Fabregas regarding the abysmal water quality supply by Trenton Waterworks.
Mayor, if I may, Trenton Waterworks and the subject matter, Ms. Fabregas's letter is part of ongoing active litigation.
Okay.
So I'd ask that council doesn't comment on the letter, but nonetheless, you can acknowledge receipt, obviously read the letter, but again, it's a part of active litigation, so we should refrain from commenting.
Thank you, council. Okay. Seeing no additional items on the agenda, we will now go into our executive session. We thank the public for attending this evening's meeting and have safe travels back to your final destination.
Motion to go into executive session.
Second. I said second.
I forgot to talk about that.
Aye.
That was that. That was